this policy, how can we afford any policy, how can we enforce any policy that we have?
If I may, Mr. Chairman, I think the fundamental difference here is that in the majority of the other policies, and I don't know them all by heart, so there may be another one like this that's a little, but the second part of this particular policy deals with an issue where an individual is sitting on a committee and is subsequently elected. That's why it has no teeth, because they were previously appointed, and then they get elected to the Board of Selectmen. This policy wouldn't give it the teeth to force them to resign. Unless I misunderstand it, it wouldn't force them to resign from that other committee. If you had a bylaw, much like they have with Finance Committee, that no member of the Finance Committee shall serve on any other, and I don't know exactly what it says, but I'm going to assume it says shall serve on any other board, committee, or commission. And you notice when someone on Finance Committee gets appointed to something else, the immediate response is to resign. So I think our other policies do have teeth. I just think this is a situation where an individual, John Smith, John Doe, could be appointed, could be an appointed member of some committee or commission, get elected to the board, and then someone could show him the policy, and he could say, I was duly appointed to that position to expire on X date, and I don't think this has enough teeth to remove them, and that's all I'm trying to point out. So I think there's so I'm not trying to say our policy doesn't have any teeth. I think our policies do have teeth. I think they do have value.
I guess what I would ask then, would be for the board to approve this tonight, as written, and then we go forward, probably an October town meeting, and put this in as a bylaw change. I would have no problem with that. I would have no problem with that at all. But I really think we could adopt it now as a policy, and I do understand what you're saying, and then go forward in October and request it as a bylaw. Mr. Muldoon.
Mr. Chairman, I like and agree with this policy a lot. I don't think that any member of the Board of Selectmen should be voted on by other members to another committee, permanent committee. And the second part of it, and this is not intended for anyone who is currently running, part of the experience of running for the Board of Selectmen is that you give your whole heart and soul to what we have to do, and it really takes a lot of time, and I don't think it's appropriate that anyone should be spending time in other committees or whatever to advance whatever that committee is doing. This is a full-time job here, and I think that this is a policy that we should pass. It's a good policy, and it stops anything in the future that really shouldn't occur. But I would also agree to put teeth into it. I think that we should follow up with a bylaw. There's no question about it. Because the Finance Committee has a bylaw that has teeth, and people abide by it, and they follow through, and they really have no choice. And I think we should do that for ourselves also. And I think if we can convince the people that this is important, that the board is duly appointed to be the leadership of the town, and that's what their sole duty should be, and not be spreading themselves thin on other committees. I think that we can get this passed as a bylaw. I suggest that that's something that we should try and do.
Thank you. Mr. Rowe.
I don't have any problem with it either, other than the fact that I think I'd be very disappointed if we passed this as a policy and somebody came on the board and then didn't abide by it. I don't have a problem with them trying to change something, but if they came on and didn't abide by it, I'd be very disappointed, because I think that we take an oath when we're sworn in as a selectman or any board to uphold the bylaws, rules, regulations, etc. So
I agree.
I'd be very disappointed if somebody did that.
I would be also.
So I don't think it's necessary to make it a bylaw, but I don't have a problem with that either if they so desire.
Okay, any further discussion?
But just to follow on, I don't have an issue with approving it. I agree with it.
Right.
And I think that it will certainly be harder to remove if it is a bylaw, so
Right.
I don't have an issue with approving it tonight, and moving it
And going
forward as a
further.
bylaw, and if
Bylaw
it
in
doesn't
October.
pass, it doesn't pass.
Right, exactly.
The electorate decide.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those, this is the first reading, by the way. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, 0. Thank you. It's not 8 o'clock yet, okay. Move down. Over here. Okay, we'll move down to, change on here. We're gonna move down to number 7, which was the hearing on the Oak Street no parking sign that was approved by this board and installed on Oak Street. It became, we were made aware, shall I say, that Oak Street is a private way, and the Board of Selectmen could not approve and install a no parking sign on a private way without the request from the owners of the private way, owner or owners of the private way to do this. So subsequently, we have a motion tonight to rescind the motion to install the no parking sign and regulation on Oak Street. I have already spoke to the town administrator. Since we cannot do this legally, I spoke to him. He's in the process of having DPW remove the sign. There are other methods that can be taken, such as a bylaw allowing us to do that for public safety reasons, to put a regulation such as a no parking sign on a private way. We do not have that bylaw. That may be forthcoming, possibly in October. So do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Muldoon?
Mr. Chairman, I move to rescind the vote of October 15, 2001, specific to Oak Street only.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion? Mr. Rowe?
You have a question on, where this is for Oak Street only, that we go in and look at all of the streets that fall under this category, and we get them straightened out. We don't have the right, we do have signs there, we should look into what responsibility we have by having a sign on where we shouldn't have it, so I think that we should,
Yeah. I agree. And we did, the other signs that we did that night were public ways. We did check that. And I know this board has not approved many signs, even since I've been here. I can't go back 20 years, I don't know what they did then. But that's definitely a very good suggestion, to look back and see what our traffic rules and regulations have for signage. Mr. Rowe?
I think along with that, and I had spoke to the town administrator about it, is to get a listing of the streets in town as to exactly what category they fall under.
Right.
Whether they're an unaccepted street, a private way, right-of-way, and so on and so forth, so we know exactly when they come up where we are.
I did fail to mention that we do have a listing. It's being updated, well, as early as tomorrow morning. There are a couple of streets, and a list was given to the police department today, and the town administrator has one also. So, and this will become part of the policy and procedure for the police department to check, and also will be checked at the town hall. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 0. Thank you. Still got a couple of minutes, huh? Town meeting issues, April town meeting issues, number 8.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As far as articles, there's no new additional articles since the last time you received the list. Obviously, there was still some discussion that you would have a special town meeting within the regular town meeting, Mr. Chairman.
Right.
And The proposed, proposed articles are on the police station, if that's
Right.
what you're looking at. And obviously, we'll be awaiting the decision of the school committee regarding whether they go forth regarding the report of the elementary school building committee for the special town meeting. And depending how they request it, then we can obviously, write the proper article for that.
Right.
But until we receive the response from the school committee and their review of the elementary school building committee, we have a placeholder for that article.
Okay, thank you. And at what meeting will we, have you set a date yet?
This will be in March that you'll have to actually sign
Okay.
the warrant.
Okay,
Obviously, that's when all the articles will be there. We have
Okay.
generally all the articles, unless the board's going to be placing anything
Placing
else in
anything
there.
else on
Get to it, but basically for the special, that's a placeholder for the schools.
okay.
And should the board still go back for the additional funds for the police station, that's a decision of the board.
Right.
Is that,
Any questions, Mr.
if I
Murphy?
may, is that the first week in March, Tom?
Excuse me?
To sign the
First week of March, yes.
first week?
Any further?
Chairman.
Yep, Mr. Murphy.
Mr. Younger, what is the latest date that the warrant can be signed?
That
do
would
you
be
know?
that would be within that first week in March. Generally, the first week, first meeting in March is when it would be signed. You could possibly, I would have to double check the calendar, delay it a couple of days, but I think you're within that period of time, that time frame. You can't go later than that. Because obviously this year, town meeting is earlier than general. It's always the first Monday in April, but the first Monday in April happens to be basically the first day in, generally the first days in April.
It is the first day.
So,
Pardon?
It's the first day in
yep.
April Fool's
Right.
Day.
Yeah, April Fool's Day. It's the Monday, yeah. Exactly. Okay, well, there's no vote to be taken, it was just informational. Yeah, I have 8:02 by my watch, so.
Are we gonna discuss these?
Yes.
Yes, not right now, tonight.
You'll have meetings prior to March and so forth, but as of this date, these are the articles that we have present for the warrant.
What meeting is successful before we sign them? Before we sign them?
Actually, can I ask a question in one article?
Go ahead.
Through the chair, Tom, the article for utility poles, is that
Yes.
modeled after the Wilmington?
It is actually modeled after Wilmington and Chelmsford.
And has that already been reviewed by council?
Has not been reviewed by council, it has been passed and approved in those two other communities. And if I'm correct,
Okay.
they represent one of those, I think they represent Chelmsford also.
Yeah,
But the warrant will be submitted to them.
okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay, being shortly after 8 o'clock, we have a public hearing on water systems capital. Let me see if I have a notice on that in here. Tom, do I have a notice on that? Is the Republican notice on that? Yeah, no, I do have that. I was wondering if there was actually a notice.
Yes, there was, Al.
Excuse me, yeah.
I don't have it. No, thank you. Thank you. Public hearing. Board of Selectmen and Water Commission. The Board of Selectmen and Water Commission will hold a public hearing on the Water Systems Capital Plan on Monday, February 4th, 2002, at 8 p.m. in Room 14 at the Town Hall, 235 North Street. The board and commissioners will hear public input regarding the current capital plan and proposed modifications. Now, Board of Selectmen. Thank you. Mr. Hammond.
Thank you. As is our normal practice this time of year, we put forward our water capital planning initiative to the board. for their review and comment, input.